urban apologetics with a little bit of fun on the side. My name is Vocab Malone. I am your host. Chilling in the back over there is the dog Justice. That's right, it's Saturday, June 13th, 2020. A lot of stuff going on, Juneteenth, all kinds of stuff going on right now. And had a very interesting program last night, I do tell you that. And we're going to have another very interesting one today. You should be able to see there on the screen. It's going to feature Ice Cube. Ice Cube has been busy on Twitter lately. Real busy on Twitter. And he's been tweeting Hebrew Israelite memes and even some videos by camps. On today's program, we usually run about an hour and a half, sometimes two. We're going to look at those tweets, do some brief analysis of them, and then we're going to watch one of the videos that he shared. We're also going to be getting into a bit of art history because of this. For example, Face to Face, Portraits of the Divine in Early Christianity on Fortress Press, Robin Jensen, and also Taylor's book, What Did Jesus Look Like? Kind of art historian type books, really good, and they'll be helpful for today's program. And probably not gonna do this one, but it's relevant as well. Hebrew Israelites should know the author's name if you're into this kind of thing. But we got plenty of resources today coming at you. And we're going to start off real quick with me making an Italian soda. While I do that, got the Pellegrino. You guys go ahead and hit that like button. Ooh, don't spill. Hit that like button. Grab the link and share it. How many of y'all know about Pellegrino? Someone's like, what's Vocab doing? It's just sparkling water. But this adds a little bit of pep. See what I'm saying? Add a little bit of pep here. Okay. Hold on. We're about ready. And look, this is only half a can, so it's not too much caffeine. And it's sugar-free. And the sparkling water by Pellegrino, you can't go wrong with that, right? And then there's one last thing you need to add into the Han Solo cup that already has a Millennium Falcon ice cube in it. And then we're going to get started. And it's sugar-free Tirani syrup raspberry. Also sugar-free. That makes for an epic drink. Italian soda with a little bit of Red Bull. And now I'm ready. And you guys are all jealous. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, Street Apologist Live. Let's go! Come to my house. I'll make you one. Got the Star Wars coaster. We are set. Okay, I know it's Saturday, and a little bit different. I plan on, by God's grace, going live tomorrow as well, probably around a similar time. I've got a couple topics in mind. Haven't totally settled on it yet. Maybe something will happen during this that'll give us insight into that. And so we're going to get right into it. I'm going to share my screen with you. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, I know, it's a little weird. It's all Inception. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with this stuff. Some of these articles here. And I'm going to show these to you so you can get a sense of what's going on. Now, this is not our main interest. What's on the screen? I'm just showing you that it's in the news. It's kind of making the rounds. And so it gives you somewhat of an idea. Here, jeez, this is... Let me see here. Just a second. I got to get this kind of the right way, folks. Got to get this the right way. Okay. All right. Make this a little smaller. There we go. Okay. So what do we have here on your screen? There's a Daily Beast. They're somewhat sensationalistic, but they also cover interesting things that others don't cover. They're definitely decidedly anti-faith-based from what I've seen. Ice Cube's a long, disturbing history of anti-Semitism, ugly past, and they have some of the tweets on here. Now, we're not really going to get into these tweets, okay? This is, I think, the one that caught a lot of people's attention, right? And you can go on his Twitter page and see all these. In fact, one journalist said, hey, I wrote a whole article on this. If you can't see anti-Semitism, it's time to open your eyes. And it's this mural, and he goes through it and shows how it's an anti-Semitic mural, right? I guess there's some kind of connection, and it's the Guardian, and they talk about the Labour Party. So I believe it's in the UK. But that's what he's actually tweeted. It's one of the things he's tweeted. If you notice, it's on a brick wall here. And then they show some of his other tweets. This one is interesting. It's got what looks to be like, is there a significance beyond what I understand that this is like the cube in Mecca? And it's inside the Star of David, and it's shown to be in other places, supposedly. Some of the anti-Semitism and symbolism I'm not 100% up on. All right. Oh, I've never seen this. I didn't even. Most troubling of all, the rapper and actor was accused in 2015 of ordering his entourage to beat up a rabbi. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. But this is not what we're going to focus on. I'm just showing you how it's been making the news. Oh, yeah, they did a little story. It's TMZ stuff. And they talk about, of course, the issues there with their former manager or whatever. What was the guy's name? I think Jerry Heller, on the song No Vaseline. And same thing there with, I guess, something to do with the Beastie Boys, who I guess are Jewish. So, that's what's making the news, right? I'm going to cross this off, right? Jewish groups reacts to more anti-Semitic tweets by Ice Cube, And so everybody's up in arms. That's the main one. But look at this. This is the kind of stuff we're going to focus on. That same day, the rapper posted on Twitter an image of hieroglyphics portraying dark-skinned ancient Israelites in slavery in Egypt. The caption above the picture reads, Hebrew Israelite slaves in ancient Egypt followed in the bottom with clearly they are a black people. Now, what's weird is there's no comment about this particular post in here. Oh, they're saying it's the black cube of Saturn. Conspiracy theorists claim to be a magical symbol is within the Star of David. That's the prior one. I was trying to figure out what it is. Not sure here. But they just mention this, but they don't really discuss it, right? That particular one. Now, that's the kind of stuff that caught my attention. I'm going to leave that one up because we might go back to that. I'm Jerusalem Post. I'm not showing you everything here. Oh, yeah, so it is a black cube of Saturn. I don't know much. I don't know some about these different conspiracy theories. Now, look, they do it again. Also tweeted, ancient Egyptian art, wall art depicting workers with the caption that clearly the Hebrew slaves in Egypt were a black people. You see, but they don't comment on it. You see what I'm saying? They just say, but so it's interesting. They include that with the stuff they know about, but they don't really comment. Ice Cube responds after being accused of sharing anti-Semitic memes on Twitter. Now, if you don't know who Ice Cube is, I don't want to do his history, but everyone should understand he's had an illustrious career as a hip-hop artist from NWA all the way. He still puts out albums and stuff, but, he's also done quite a number of movies and kind of just a media personality, somewhat on the level of Snoop, that kind of L.A. figure who's just, will do things like take rides with Kevin Hart and Conan O'Brien. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he says, I get along with every race on earth, which is funny. This is a variation of this is a variation on the theme of, well, I can't be racist because I have black friends. I mean, this is a variation on that theme, right? I mean, obviously it is. Here's stuff, Nas has talked about this stuff before. I started hearing this stuff back in middle school. I remember we had an Afrocentric janitor, some of the images there. And that's all I'm going to show for those. You can find it all over. Okay, so that's step one, is for you guys to hear about that. All right. Now, what I'm going to do here is, do some analysis of some of the particular memes and discuss these things. Okay. And while I'm doing that, let me just break some stuff down. Phyllis says he always looked mad as an actor in Hollywood. I hear you, but Phyllis, that's his brand. His brand is the look. That's his brand. He can't change or deviate too much from that. You know what I'm saying? So they actually want him to kind of look mad in Hollywood. What was the 21 Jump Street remake or something? He was like he played a cop, actually. He was like in charge. He was like the sergeant or something, which is kind of funny. Ice Cube played a cop. If you know anything about the history of NWA and Ice Cube, that's ironic. But he was angry. He's always angry at the two guys who were Channing Tatum, who I know because he played Duke in G.I. Joe, and Joan Hill. What was the guy's name? I don't remember, but he's in a bunch of those raunchy comedies. Okay, so anyways, Italian soda break here. Just looking at the comments here. All right. Someone, Ito says the slave pictures are colorized. Well, here's what's interesting. There's a whole problem with this. Now, is Ice Cube a Hebrew Israelite? Is that what I'm saying today? Switch over screens. No, that's not what I'm saying. If you remember his career, he had a strong identification at one time with the Nation of Islam. He's never renounced that. Now, a ton of stuff he's done is clearly out of bounds from what a faithful NOI member would do. But, Farrakhan and the upper echelon of NOI have always found the sympathy given to them and really platformed by some of the rappers who are really hypocritical in the sense that they'll espouse some of the ideas, but it obviously doesn't affect their life. And I'm not here to judge or throw stones. I'm just saying this seems to be a bit mutually beneficial relationship, okay? Now, he's never really renounced that. In fact, you can go find pictures currently on his Twitter right now, okay, that show him, they're like throwback pictures, but they show him, reading like a final call, which is the Nation of Islam paper, for example. So that's not renounced. There's not beef there. But here's what's interesting. The Hebrew Israelites, some of them now, are being seen in a new light, where some of their ideas are being taken somewhat seriously by a larger populace. And some of them have successfully positioned themselves, and they're just in the beginning stages of this, as part of the vanguard or the movement standing up for true black liberation, liberty, unity, and things like that. Although if you really understand their agenda, no way. No way. But some people have fallen for it because specifically IUIC has been very successful in branding that as part of their image. By far, they've been the most successful at it. I really can't think of anyone who's a second close out of the camps or anybody. And this is very clearly purposely orchestrated by Nate, who Nate certainly has charisma. He's not the strongest Bible teacher. He really gets by through rhetoric, his voice, and sort of sheer confidence. He's not the strongest Bible teacher. However, his organizational and leadership skills are unparalleled. I really think even past Tazadakia, because what he's doing has a more long-term thing, and it's not only about him, which Tazadakia stuff was. So this is sort of an analysis of what's going on. Tazadakia was the leader until COVID-19 took him. Tazadakia was the leader of ICGJC. I see we have Leonoid Fortes says IUAC, it's IUIC, is a controlled op. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I do want to be very forthright with you, Leonid. Whatever. You don't even know the name of the organization. It's IUAC. It's what you put, but it's IUIC. So you don't really, it's clear you're not familiar with the issues. You can't just hear about something and say it's controlled opposition, planned opposition or something like that. You have to have some evidence, or why should we believe you? IUIC is clearly an organization that's been bubbling for literally centuries. And if you knew anything, not centuries, rather decades. For decades now, starting with the East Coast, and has went quite far since then. Say what you want to about IUIC, but they're not controlled opposition. And if you're going to say that, you need to bring some evidence, You need to bring some evidence. I don't really have time for these silly conspiracy theories, to be frank. Okay, it's just silly. Okay, to be honest, if that's You're wasting our time by putting this stuff in the chat, okay? It's just a waste of time. But I'm addressing that because I see it. Now, it's fascinating that you saw a Snoop Dogg video, and I did, we need to link to it in the show. I did a whole show on that. A Snoop Dogg video where he was kind of jumping on this train, or whatever you want to say, and trying to kind of do a woke type video. And in that, he has a shot of IUIC, and it's supposed to be demonstrating black unity in this, right? And the thing that's interesting about IUIC is the unity only comes if you follow Nate. You know? The purple, you got to don the purple and gold to be down with them. And if you get cast out, hey, you know, they're not nice. They embarrass people all the time. IUIC is the best at crafting the right image, but behind the scenes, it's really shameful what they do to black families. Really shameful. No organization comes close in the amount of phone calls and everything else that we get on a regular basis. No organization comes close where people say, hey, my husband, my wife, my brother, my son, my family members, they're joining this group, and now our family's destroyed. They're doing this to the son. They want a divorce, because I won't get in the truth. They want a divorce because I'm half black, but my father was white, and so I can't be married. They can't be married to me now. All the time, this kind of stuff. And I always say, what group is it? IUIC. Rarely do you get a different answer for what group is causing the destruction of these otherwise healthy families besides IUIC. Okay? It's just a fact. And anybody that's involved with behind-the-scenes efforts knows that, okay? Now, going back to Cube's Twitter page, we're not really about the aspect of, it's anti-Semitic. We're here to just look at what he's saying and analyze some of the theology and the facts behind it. So, let's do that, okay? I knew this was going to happen in a little bit. I'm going to go over here for just a second because I know how it is. This I'm not going to spend a long time on, and most of the other screenshots are going to look better than this. This is just an example of he's clearly embracing the alternate history. So this is supposed to be Spartacus, and the idea is, hey, Spartacus is black. Now look, none of this really is really consequential to me, but it's interesting the impulse to turn everyone in history black. That's a Hebrew Israelite impulse. Here you've got appears to be a pope bowing before a black Madonna, and that black Madonna is going to become important here in a second. We're going to actually do some extensive discussion on black Madonnas here because they're all over Cube's Twitter feed, but that's just a brief one. But I did want to show this one. I'm actually going to make this one larger before I get rid of it. It was just kind of funny. I understand what he's trying to say. First of all, it's interesting to see Cube's Twitter feed filled with kind of like theological things, right? But second of all, you know what's interesting? He's got Satan tempting Jesus here, right? A scene from the Bible. He retweeted this artwork. Well, that's clearly a white Jesus guy. That's a white Jesus. So it's just funny. It kind of shows that, hey, you can tweet a picture or a painting or whatever of any kind of guy, of any kind of thing. It can look however. But just because it was, done as an artist depiction doesn't mean it's accurate. And the white actually red, it's like a pink Jesus, really. Jesus on his timeline kind of proves my point. Hold on, I'm going to bring up some other ones here. Yeah, so Shawnee Miller knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, a friend of mine was in IUIC. She got put out and her husband doesn't have anything to do with her or their children. See what I'm saying? It's tragic. Tragic. All right, now, I think there's one other of the bad screenshots I was going to show. Let me see real quick here to make sure. Where was that one? Overlays. Just give me a second, folks. There's one other one I was going to look at. Where did that daggone thing go? Let's see. Hold on. I bring all windows to front. Scenes. I got a lot going on here all the time. Well, it's somewhere on must be somewhere here. Where did it? Just give me a second. Just give me a second. I got something. I'm gonna need this because what I'm looking for, because this is the way I'm gonna put the rest of the pictures on the screen that I've already got set up, and I'm having trouble finding where the command went. So just give me a second. Show. Is that it? Okay, there it is. Okay, I got it. Okay. Sometimes things just take a while. I'm my own producer, as it were. Where is that other one I was going to show you guys? Was this it? I think it was this. I forget what this is now, though. But it's, oh, yeah. I just want to show you this real quick from Cube's Twitter feed. June 11th, 2020. He's reading the final call. This is obviously a younger Cube. But in the back is Fruit of Islam guys, Nation of Islam guys, showing that, he's still, promoting his, affiliation with NOI, But at the same time, now he's embracing tenets of Hebrew Israelism, which there is some overlap. We've done a few videos on that. There is some overlap. We've done some videos on that. But at the end of the day, Hebrew Israelites, including IUIC, they like to make videos of them debating or smashing supposedly Muslims out in the street, NOI specifically. That's what I mean by when I say Muslims. And they'll show these videos and act like, they're destroying them in the scriptures and that kind of thing. Now, let's go here and start to actually look at these, okay? Are you all ready? Ba-da-da-da-da. We're going to bring these up one by one. So now we're getting into the meat of the show as we look at different images from Cube's Twitter feed. These are screenshots, and, I'm just going to put them on the side there, and then we're going to take a look at them all, okay? So this one right away. Can everybody see this fine? You know what? Let me see what it'd be like if I have the logo and stuff. Nah, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Okay, so you see the date there on your screen. I'm not really gonna talk about how many shares and retweets and all that. But the content is what's interesting. So Cube is tweeting that this is the earliest found painting of Jesus, right? Now, once it's on the internet, there's all kinds of issues of if something has been colorized, if it's been ran through any kind of a filter on any kind of app, if there's any difference from the original painting. And I can almost guarantee you, just from looking at this one has. Look at the left side of the screen. If an artist did that, they're a bad artist, if that's the way they actually made it look. So it's highly unlikely, number one. Number two, what is this painting? Where's it from? Who did it? Just anything. Well, Cube is just retweeting memes. And what I found that's so interesting is that one of his initial tweets, one of the first ones that basically, I'm going to show you here in a second, that got a lot of Hebrew Israelites to retweet him and also to respond to him. It appears from what I can gather that some of the things he then subsequently tweeted were from him. It looks like he read through some of the comments and retweeted some of the images that people put as a response to his initial thread of the first one. And it kind of then perpetuated itself. What I mean is, Hebrew Israelites went into his different Twitter threads, put up other pictures and said, "You're right, Cube, look at this meme, look at this meme." Although they didn't say look at this meme, they would say look at this picture, look at this painting. Then later on you would see a tweet where he actually put what they had already put earlier. He didn't retweet them, he put it as if he was doing it, and he would literally use the same words. Do you understand? It's pretty bizarre. Now let's actually talk about the truth, though. You guys ready for the truth? Is that even the earliest painting of Jesus? First of all, the answer is no. It is not the earliest painting of Jesus. Let's talk about some of the very earliest images of Jesus. Now, this is going to get a little technical, but you need to listen to me, okay? Everyone, wake up! Wake up! I need you to listen to me. I am going to be reading, because to deal with Hebrew Israelites, you got to get into a little bit of art history. Okay, Face to Face by Robert Jensen. It's a technical book. It's a good book. This is page 142. Jesus, Variant and Changing Appearances in Art. Listen to this. And this is footnoted and has images corresponding with it. Understand? Versus a meme. Although later Byzantine and early medieval representations of Jesus have a remarkable degree of consistency, the earliest artistic portrayals of Christ in the 3rd and 4th centuries. So I'm going to start there. Notice when we start getting the earliest artistic portrayals of Jesus, it's in the 3rd and 4th centuries. Now listen. How did any given artist, how did any given painter, I'm going to get close to this mic for this. How did anyone in the 3rd or 4th centuries know what Jesus Christ looked like? So our earliest portrayals are from the 3rd and 4th century. The main reason The main reason, there's a number of reasons, is early Christians were hesitant about images depicting the divine. They viewed Christ as divine. They were concerned about idolatry. Part of it was the continuation of the line of thought from Judaism. They did not like depicting Jesus. But eventually that was overcome for a few reasons, but we don't have anything until the 3rd or 4th centuries. So even if that on the screen, which it's not, was the earliest found painting of Jesus, guess what? It would be super late after the fact. You can't just sit down and make a painting out of nowhere and be like, this is what Jesus definitely looked like. That's what's going on, though. Because the implication is, hey, the earliest portrayals of Jesus were all black, therefore, right? The truth is deeper than that. All right. They show significant inconsistency. So not only are they super late, but they don't match, meaning there was no one way they portrayed Jesus. What does that tell you? Just think, everyone use your logic. If the earliest portrayals of Jesus were all inconsistent in their representation, what does it show you? It tells you they did not know what Jesus looked like. Sometimes Christ appears as youthful and beardless, sometimes as older with full beard. Of course, he is also shown or symbolized through the familiar visual metaphors of shepherd, lamb, or even fisher. One possible explanation for these varying presentations is that it simply took time for artists and their clients to achieve the right look for Jesus, perhaps struggling to find the key combination of features and attributes that conveyed his dual natures. Notice there's theological consideration in here, while still honoring some ancient traditions or memories concerning his physical appearance. Are you guys following? I hope you're following. I hope you get this. A survey of extant examples coming mainly from the environs of Rome. That's where a lot of our earliest paintings from Rome. So, I mean, come on. Shows us that most of the earliest recognizable iconography of Jesus presents him as a beardless and beautiful youth. Although in rare instances, he also appears as bearded and more mature in appearance. When he appears as youthful, he most often is shown within narrative compositions referring to his role as healer or wonder worker. Now here's a sarcophagus that has various Old and New Testament scenes. It's from the 4th century. Now it's in Vatican City. Now you can find the better version of this, online. You can go look at it. But these are the facts, okay? These are the facts, right? Not the not the memes that he's retweeting, and the Hebrews what you believe. It looks like my camera's out of focus. Let me try to fix that. Whatever. Okay, this is a little better. Continuing on here. By the mid-4th century, the bearded type began to appear in non-teaching contexts, a shift that may be linked with a general trend away from narrative images of healing and wonder-working and toward visual references to his passion, ascension, enthronement, that's the enthronement in heaven, and the giving of new law. And so they give an example here, figure 63, which I'm going to show you as well, okay? And then at the top here, we obviously see 62 as well. These are both from Christian sarcophaguses here in the 4th century. That's the one that I said I was going to show you, but here's the one they were just talking about. All right. And so again, these are just the facts, okay? These are the facts. Where'd it go? At the end of the 4th century, when the first true portraits of Jesus began to appear, the dark and bearded appearance was becoming standard and seems to be the precursor to the standard iconic presentation of Christ's image in the later Byzantine period. Here's another 4th century sarcophagus as well. And, you can look these up. I really recommend getting this book because it's art history, All right, now let's keep on going. Page 144. Listen to this. Listen carefully. You need to pay attention to this, folks. You need to pay attention to this. However, the final transition to a bearded iconic type happened gradually, and for some time, both types, youthful and mature, coexisted. So that means there's times during the same period of time, Christians are painting Jesus as a young man without a beard. That comes from a Greco-Roman influence. That's what that comes from, because certain artistic representations were supposed to represent certain things culturally, and so that's why they did that. These are just facts. I'm only giving you the tip of the iceberg here. But then other times they would have the beard at the same time. Again, no one really knew. Sometimes juxtaposed within a single space, meaning in the same place, you would have different versions of Jesus as far as these paintings and sculptures and stuff like that, without raising apparent concern, or at least not enough to warrant removal of one or the other image. For example, in the mausoleum of Santa Constanza, that's Constantine's daughter, that's who that's referring to, are two markedly different presentations of Jesus, though some scholars see them as representing God the Father and Jesus. So they're saying it's probably two different versions of Jesus. Some people say it's God the Father and Jesus. But still listen to the difference here, okay? Although both mosaics are clearly from the same date and workshop, they may be slightly later additions to the building, perhaps in the late 4th or early 5th century, and their extensive restoration makes scholars doubtful about their original composition. So churches have done restorative work on this. Sometimes it's difficult to tell what these originally looked like. Okay. However, the contrasting Jesus iconography still appears to be both intentional and ancient. In one, Christ is youthful, fair-haired, and light-skinned with blue eyes. Now, look, I'm not saying that's the way Jesus looked. It's certain he didn't. But this shows you can't rely upon early Christian iconography, because you're going to have a Jesus that looks this way, then you also have a dark Jesus as well. So if you're going to use one as evidence, how do you not use the other? We got to be consistent here. He has only the hint of a blonde beard, no mustache, and stands upon the rock of Calvary, handing a scroll of the law to Paul. He wears a white tunic with blue stripes, clavi, from shoulder to hem, and pallium. And the other, Christ, or perhaps God the Father, is shown having a full beard and is seated upon the orb of the cosmos. His tunic is a rich royal purple with 2 gold stripes. Sounds like an IUIC member. Both figures have halos and shades of blue, but otherwise their presentation is strikingly different. Now I'm going to show you one. I'm going to show you the one from 64. Okay, and then I'm going to turn the page and show you image 65. Those are the two images we just discussed. Now, these aren't in color, okay? The book, a lot of the books have black and white images. It's a cost factor, but there's one. But I'm going to show you when I turn the page after I read this part of the paragraph on page 145. One explanation for the continuance of these contrasting images is that such a variation made a theological point or argument in a visual mode. Perhaps a polymorphous presentation of Christ was seen as truer than a single static and consistent visual appearance. I hope you guys understand what they're saying here. The text, after all, suggests that during his life, Jesus may have taken on different manifestations, projecting different exterior features, perhaps in response to the need, expectation, ability, or even requirements of different viewers. Now, I don't agree with that, but they would actually be looking at something like Mark 16 for some evidence of that, or maybe even from the end of Luke if they want to interpret it that way. This is somewhat of a moderate scholar, not a conservative scholar, for what I can gather. But facts are facts, right? From this vantage point, the Christian God recognized and accommodated viewer subjectivity as well as capacity for variety. Moreover, a changing exterior also paralleled Christ with the other gods and then trumped them too, because the other gods would do that. But then they're saying Christ trumps all those other false gods. Christ's presentation in different guises was then less a result of confusion than an aim to show his superiority to the gods of the Roman pantheon, who also could appear in different forms or guises, but for sometimes less beneficent purposes, according to Christian writers. In any case, divine ability to change form was a certain sign of a god's power and craft. Now, to me, there's a little bit too much where she's reading into it there, but there's also sort of the evidence as well. You can see there's speculation and there's fact. Okay, now I'm going to read one other section of this book. It's from page 30 and 31. And before I read it, I'm not going to be reading the whole show, but this is important for me to read some of the show because of the things I'm going to be showing. Look at that. That's a very early image of Jesus. It's not the one on the screen. I don't know where he got that from. But, well, obviously he got it from a Hebrew Israelite meme. But what is it? Maybe someone can track it down. Okay, we're not all art historians, and I know, not to be rude, but I know the Cubes are not. And yet he's sharing this stuff like he really knows what he's talking about. Okay, page 30. Of course, much of this transition took place in tandem with radical changes in the church's status and support. After Constantine's conversion to Christianity in 314 CE, the circumstances of the church changed abruptly from persecuted cult to state-supported religion. The practice of decorating burial chambers with biblical narrative scenes was soon expanded to include portraits of the saints. Churches were built and decorated as well, stimulated at first by imperial patronage of money, but also by a gradually emerging argument for the value of visual art for the church. In addition to the statue of Christ and the woman in Caesarea Philippi, which caused him to note that he also has seen portraits of the saints Peter and Paul, Eusebius reports that Constantine commissioned sculptural figures of the Good Shepherd and Daniel for public fountains in Constantinople. According to the Liber Pontificalis, that same emperor donated nearly life-size figures of John the Baptist and Christ in cast silver to the Lateran Baptistry, while the Lateran Basilica was supplied with silver statues of Jesus and his 12 apostles. None of these are known to exist today. Conspiracy theories, go ahead. By the late 4th century, portraits of Peter and Paul began to be included in the iconographic programs of the catacombs and appeared in other media, such as gold, glass, and gems. In the 5th and 6th centuries, portraits of saints and Christian heroes, apostles, martyrs, and bishops were added to the frescoes of the Roman catacombs long after burial ceased in these places, particularly at the sites where their remains were interred. The emerging cult of the saints in the 4th and 5th centuries brought pilgrims to these places where they might share a commemorative banquet to honor the holy persons near their mortal remains. Jerome, for example, mentions regular Sunday visits to the catacombs when he was a boy in Rome to, quote, pay homage to the sepulchres of the apostles and martyrs, end quote. The art of the catacombs changed from symbolic and narrative images to representations of the saints buried therein, or portraits of the martyrs, apostles, or Mary in company with the deceased. Just prior to the emergence of saints' portraits, however, the first examples of portraits of Christ appear, including one in the vault of a burial chamber in the catacombs of Commodea, showing the head and shoulders of Jesus, featuring a full dark beard and long wavy hair. That's the figure image I just showed you. Dated to the late 4th century. Again, notice how late these early images are. His head is framed by a halo, and on either side we see the letters Alpha and Omega. By the way, Hebrew Israelites, you want to use these early portraits of Jesus for his ethnicity. Why don't you use the Alpha Omega? Because what's that mean? That shows he is divine, not some created god, not like you have him as a denigrated demiurge or anything like that, a demigod, whatever you make him out to be on your kind of henotheistic scheme of monolatry. Now, look those words up, okay? I'm not going to tell you everything what I'm saying, but look those words up because it's real. Here's what's up. Alpha, Omega, beginning and the end, first and last. That's what the art really we need to talk about, that aspect of the symbolism. Christ's face seems to float on a pattern background of squares and rosettes, perhaps meant to represent a coffered ceiling. Elsewhere in this catacomb are images of the denial of Peter and of Christ shown between two martyrs or between Peter and Paul. Another such image, which I'm going to show you here in a second, also dated to the late 4th century, was found at Ostia Antica, made of apis sectile, which is colored marble. Like the Commodea image, Christ's head, here framed by a simple nimbus, also has a dark beard, but in this image with a pronounced fork, and long, dark, curly hair. The face of Christ alone, without any background or context, had become a subject of art and perhaps an object of devotion. A third famous... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to show you that one. I'm going to show you the next one I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm losing track of which images are attached to which paragraphs. Forgive me. A third famous late 4th century portrait of Jesus comes not from Rome at all, but from a mosaic pavement in the Roman Via, or perhaps small house church, discovered in the 1960s at Hinton St. Mary in Dorset, England, and now in the British Museum. And I'm going to show you that one in a second. A medallion in the center of this large mosaic shows Jesus with quite a different facial type than that of Commodea or Ostia images. This portrait of Jesus, which may have been placed originally in the dome ceiling, shows him beardless and wearing a rather mild expression. He only has a Chi Rho monogram behind his head, and that's another symbol really ultimately of his deity, I believe. I think you can make an argument for that. Monogram behind his head. On either side are pomegranates, the symbolism of which is sometimes somewhat unclear, perhaps of his passion or of abundance in the resurrection. At the corners of the mosaic are personifications of the four seasons, a popular secular theme in Roman art, especially pavement mosaics. Adjacent to this composition is another smaller mosaic portraying the mythological figure Bellerophon slaying the chimera, or perhaps a Christianized version, Christ slaying the chimera. There's that picture there. Again, this takes longer to find out the truth, what I'm reading to you. I get it. But what are we going to do here? Retweet memes just because we see them on Twitter? Hey, Don't be like Ice Cube, people. Don't be like Ice Cube. All right, how much of this am I going to read? You know what? If we need to go back to that, maybe we'll go back to that. I think you're getting the idea so far of that. So, anybody figure out what this is? Let's go ahead and put Leonid on timeout. No one is talking about flat earth. Why are you coming in here talking about flat earth stuff? If you can't stay on topic, peace. The Bible's not a flat earth book, but if you want to think so, wait until we talk about flat earth stuff, okay? Yeah. Or go comment on one of my flat earth videos. Let's time him out. All right. So there's that one. Let's take a look at another of Ice Cube's recent tweets, which are retweeting Hebrew Israelite memes. All right. Here's one of the first ones, I do believe. This is kind of what started the storm as far as the Hebrew Israelites coming over. We are the chosen people. It's supposed to be a statue of David, and it's supposed to prove his ethnicity. I don't see how it does that. And again, someone find out when the statue's dated from, where it is. Because you don't have any physical description of Jesus in the Bible. You simply don't. You have a few legends from early Christian literature about possible ways he could have looked. But it's not definitive like, oh, look, his ethnicity is black or white, because that's not even the categories we'd be talking in. This statue of David is obviously not done during his lifetime. You know, this long sleeve wearing David, made by some Gentile centuries later after he existed. I'm not against this statue of David. I just think it is utterly ridiculous to try to say, look, this proves his ethnicity. Folks, it's way too late. The only descriptions we have about David are this issue of him being ruddy. And by the way, I'm not an Anglo-Israelite, so I don't think that means he was rocking around red hair looking like Archie. What does it mean? It means he was as red as brown can get. Because if you look at the original lexicon, a way the Hebrews would use this in relationship to people's shades, it generally has to do with being very similar to a red heifer, like a red cow. If you look at a red cow, it's not red like out of the Crayola box. It's red like brownish red. Most certainly that would have been the way David looked. But again, that doesn't make him black like the Hebrew Israelites want him to be. It certainly doesn't make him white. He's not one of us. Everybody wants to claim these guys for their own. But this statue wouldn't do anything. Okay? So come on, guys. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Shawnee Miller says, if this is what David looked like, then it's what Esau looked like if we're going together. Yeah, good point. Yep. Ready. Ready. Get ready. All right. Now, let's look at some of the other memes here. Uh-oh, we got to time out David Griffin. He's in there calling people names, not being very nice at all. That's what happens when you release everybody out of jail. All right, here's another Cube tweet. Why do I share this? This dude is retweeting IUIC Los Angeles. Do you see that? Do you see that? Look in the middle here. Ice Cube retweeted IUIC Los Angeles. Now, they had responded to him first, but it was successful. He is apparently paying attention to some of their tweets because look what he says. You are absolutely correct. We are God's chosen people. Should be an apostrophe there. And Jesus is black. So notice, nothing about Jesus is God, Jesus is a savior, nothing about the character of God. It's, hey, God likes us and Jesus looked like us. This shows the idolatry of Hebrew Israelism, obsessed with the divine being like me. It's not about who God is. It's about who I am. This is the idolatry of ethnicity that Hebrew Israelism so worships. And you know, them tweeting out these statues basically just proves it. Share our video to help spread the message to more people. Black men must stand together in solidarity in these trying times. Let us show you the way. These guys want to teach Ice Cube. They think he's going to be their new Kendrick Lamar. Sorry, you don't have a cousin in his camp. Or maybe you do. I don't know. His cousin is Dale the Funky Homo Sapien. That's the only cousin of his I know. Hieroglyphics in the house. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, what's up? Shout out to G-Con. G-Con! Everyone subscribe to G-Conscious's channel, even though he sometimes be on there talking nonsense. Is still one of my best friends around, and he's a man's man, a good guy. Seriously. So you see this, though. Can someone find this for me and send me the link to this tweet? There's almost 150. Earlier I looked, there's 150 people, okay, in this live chat. I need one of you, while I'm doing this, please, I need you to go to IUIC Los Angeles' page and send me the link to this particular tweet that he retweeted, because I want to watch the video. I can't watch it unless I have the actual thing, because this is a screenshot. Could someone please do that? Go to IUIC Los Angeles on Twitter. Send me the link, not for their Twitter page, but for this particular tweet that he retweeted, if you can find it. It appears to be a 45-second video. I really would like to have that. I'd really like to play it. Okay. All right. Now let's continue on and go over to the next one here that we've got. Let's bring it up. Let me see. Bring on the next, another IUIC retweet, it looks like. Here, let me deal with some Yehu here real quick in the live chat. Malak Kali, he's a Fortunite. Vicab, why don't you tell your pastor to take down white Jesus at your Arab Baptist church? Notice how they can't talk about what we're talking about. Everything's a personal issue with these guys. Whether moderate or militant, you guys just don't know how to act on a regular basis. It's just shameful. When I deal with the Nation of Islam, when I deal with atheists, when I deal with Jehovah's Witnesses, when I deal with Catholics, when I deal with Mormons, to be honest, even when I deal with atheists, none of them have as bad manners. And in fact, when I deal with Muslims, none of them have as bad manners as the average Hebrew Israelite. And I know there's good Hebrew Israelites out there. Israel of God is like the main exception. But it's like the majority of you guys are bad actors. More and more, that's what I'm seeing. And this is a perfect example. A perfect example. So let me just address it real quick. And in a lot of Middle Eastern churches, they have sort of a carryover, it seems, even the Protestant ones, from sort of a lot of their background, which a lot of the backgrounds a lot of times is not always Protestant. A lot of times it is Eastern Orthodox or something like that, where images were present. And so when they become Protestants, a lot of times there's still somewhat affinity for images, is what I've noticed. And so some of the Middle Eastern Protestant churches still sometimes like to use different images of Jesus. And from what I've seen, they usually don't care or discriminate exactly what the Jesus looks like. They'll grab a Middle Eastern looking Jesus, but I've seen also plenty of examples, such as I guess probably what you're talking about, where they'll grab a more fair-skinned Jesus. I have seen that. And, you know, it's sort of part of their cultural expression in a lot of ways of what I've noticed. They're kind of big on it in a way. And I think a lot of them understand Jesus as a Middle Eastern man and know that he most likely looked like most of them in the church. And so I think when they see even what we would see as sort of a European Jesus, it seems like they even sort of filter and interpret it as a Jesus who still looks like them. This is what I've seen sort of anecdotally, okay? Now, I know, you don't really care, but this is for those who are interested in that and who do want to know, okay? And so specifically in this case, with First Arabic Baptist Church that you're talking about, The pastor is not very tech savvy, and he has no longer access to his own website, is my understanding, because I actually talked to him about this, not because of you guys, but a long time ago before I ever knew the Fortunites and all those folks, long before the 400-year prophecy ever failed. I asked him about this, and basically he's like, well, I don't know how to get in there, and we don't know how to take it down, and so it's basically just a stuck deal, it seems. Maybe one day that'll change. We'll see. But, at least the doctrine on the page is right, and that's something I can't say for you. Okay, so now look at this. Ice Cube here retweeted IUIC Indiana. Now, retweeting IUIC Los Angeles, you can kind of get that, right? But retweeting IUIC Indiana, speaking of that, has anyone found me that IUIC Los Angeles link? I haven't seen it. If somebody could send it to me on my inbox on Facebook or Instagram, I'd appreciate it. Please, somebody. Because I'm not seeing anybody give it to me in the live chat or nothing. So let's see what's going on. So here he is retweeting IUIC Indiana, and it's the same thing. So obviously they're imitating each other. Hebrew Israelites are known to be parrots, and so you've got, especially the One Westers. One Westism involves being a parrot. You just can't fly. And so look at this. Although when Yahushua comes back, they teach you we'll be able to fly. Nate, yeah, hey, it said 3 days ago, but I think I grabbed it 2 days ago. So for IUIC Los Angeles, a 45-second video, you may not be able to find it. It may be lost in his thread or something. If you can, it's okay, but at least appreciate a shot. I'll look on my Twitter inbox. Maybe you can hit me there, Nate. But if you put it in the live chat, you just get my attention if you can. I want to try to watch that video because I have this video. We're going to watch it here in a second. So you see Ice Cube, but look what he puts. He puts his own text there. Your time is running out. Now, who is Ice Cube talking to? What does he mean by this? I think I have an idea of what he means by this. I don't think it's similar to what IUIC Indiana means by this, but that is fascinating for him to retweet IUIC Indiana with their video and say, your time is running out. Okay, I see someone thinks they might have found it. I'm going to give me a second, guys. I want to look and see if that's it. I appreciate it. Let's see if that's it. Could be this one. I'm going to try to grab it here. We'll find out. Either way, I appreciate your effort. Oh, that is it. Hey, we got it. Now, you found a different tweet, but it's clearly the same video. It looks like it's the same video. It almost looks for certain like it's the same video. One's 44 seconds, one's 45 seconds. Yeah, but it has the same little screenshot, doesn't it? Probably the third, the same video. So it looks like it is. Yeah, okay. But that's fascinating, right? Okay, let's look at some of the other things that he's retweeted. So this, again, is IUIC. So he's retweeted to IUIC Los Angeles, IUIC Indiana. And right now, the news media is paying attention to his Twitter feed. We're going to watch these videos here in a second. But first, let me... You know what? Let's watch some of these videos right now. Okay, just give me a second. This is gonna take a little bit here because I gotta do some things on the screen. Let's see what's up with these. Okay, there we go. Switch over here. Let's see. What is a video that he is retweeting? Let's see what's up with that. Share screen. Okay. No, it's. Here's the Los Angeles one, okay? Oh, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to hear it. Let me try to make sure you guys can hear it first. Let me see. I'm concerned you're not gonna be able to hear it. Let me try to make sure you can hear it. You broadcast when in screen sharing mode. Okay, you should be able to hear this. We'll find out if you can hear it. Either way, we're gonna play it. So this appears to be one of the videos that he is sharing. Even though it's a different person that's going to. So let's take a look at this. Here we go.
Yeah, 140-foot dick. Man, I done came with a flick.
Hey, I'm going to turn on the audio because I don't want them to grab their song and claim I'm taking their audio. So we're just going to watch the images here. This is from one of their marches that they did. So, you know, they did one in Inglewood, and they also did the one over there in Inglewood, by the way, not California. Inglewood, south side of Chicago. Now, look, I want you to analyze this. Let me show you something here. Let's look at this together. So they're showing bystanders interested in this. They're walking by a church. Wait a minute, is that? I got to talk to I need to take a picture of that. I might know that pastor. After this show is over, someone remind me. I have spoken at a church in Inglewood. It was in Inglewood, in the south side of Chicago, on Hebrew Israelism. A number of Israel God members came there, and that might be the church because it's on the corner and it looks just like that. I got to hit him up when this is over to see because there's an interest on the front and the side. It looks just like it, but I'll find out. I'll hit up that pastor later. All right, so here we go here. Judah Lion, that church, do you know the name of that church? You're saying you're from Inglewood. You know the name of that church? If you do, let me know. All right, so let's check this out here. So notice we're going by a church. That's not accidental, okay? And notice, by the way, they said to Ice Cube, hey, this is a way for black men to stand up and unite. Yet whenever we say, hey, black Hebrew Israelites, they talk about Indian, Native Americans and Hispanics. They change depending on who they're talking to. It's racist to call us black Hebrew Israelites, but then they'll put in here black, but then later on, you see what I'm saying? It's a real bait and switch. So there's the drone shot. So these guys are operating drones. Now, I just want to ask you something. People are taking this as a great moment. Is this not merely symbolic? What are they actually doing for anybody? No one's getting fed. No one's getting clothed. They're not even saying anything, which is, thank the Lord, it's a benefit to this, actually. They're literally walking through a neighborhood. Okay? This is merely advertisement for their organization. I wish people could see through the glitz and the glam of IUIC and realize what's on your screen ain't doing nothing for nobody. All it is advertisement for their little group. That's all it is. Anyone should be able to see through that. Shook a guy's hand in the corner. I mean, imagine the traffic blockade this caused up. Slow motion with capes. The guy's got a Hanukkah on his back. I mean, it looks cool, right? He's got the earpiece in, you know what I'm saying? Checking out, these are the side security guys. Now, look, this is very purposeful. Notice the shot is from them up. This is pure propaganda visual techniques right here. It's from them up in a position of power, and it's from where they're towering above the camera. You notice that? This is very purposeful, the way it's done. All right, see that? Look at that. But again, what's being accomplished here? Nothing is being accomplished here. Literally nothing. But that's what Ice Cube is retweeting. Now, let's look at some of the other ones he retweeted here. Let's see where that one go. All right, here's the one that said your time is running out. All right, I want to play this one. This is 1:10. This may be a similar video. Turn this thing down a little bit. We're not really going to play the volume of it here, guys. All right, so you see Chicago. So this is a smaller, a more brief variation of the same thing. All right, so same thing, except some different shots. You see what I'm saying? So they really play this up as if it's a big deal. It looks like it's the same video with the beginning part cut off, because most likely they wanted to have a version that was under a minute long. Again, very internet savvy. So he's retweeted versions of this video and had it tweeted at him a number of times, right? Okay, yeah. I'd be facing the east. What? That's a fascinating thing for them to say. Wait, hold on. I'm actually just heard the words to this. I'm going to replay this. Let me show you something. I'm turning back up the sound here for a second. I didn't actually hear this till just now. Everyone look at me. To all the people wondering, why spend our time on this? Because you know somebody is up in there right now. Why are you doing this? You know, it's just a waste of time, blah, 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 right? Somebody's saying that right now, right? Okay. Here, let me go over here. Let me go over here. Okay. Let me play you this. I want you to hear what this says. Listen carefully. It's going to say, don't be expecting no grace. You can't repent. I'm not quoting it. It's a paraphrase. Watch. Listen to this. Are you guys listening?
The beast, yeah. Your time is up on the lease. I just pull up for the rent. Give me that. Don't be expecting no grace. Nah. You get no chance to repent. Yeah.
Don't be expecting no grace. You get no chance to repent. Now, to the one Westerners watching this, I know what they're going to say. That's because we're talking about Esau, and the Bible says in Hebrews that Esau didn't have any chance to repent. It's going to be based upon all their faulty presuppositions. But just listen to that line, and this is why. Hebrew Israelism is not just another Christian group. It is antithetical to the gospel, and these men, if they hold on to this, are going to go straight to hell, and if people follow this same doctrine, they're going to follow them along and experience the judgment and wrath of God as well for preaching a false gospel that literally does not offer forgiveness and repentance. This is what we're dealing with. Let me play that one more time. I know exactly what he's saying here. I've got the lyrics figured out. He's saying, you're going to owe me rent. It's, the rulership of the world. And you get no chance to repent. No forgiveness for you. Ask yourself if that's the gospel.
Just pull up for the rent. Give me that. Don't be expecting no grace. Nah. You get no chance to repent. Yeah. My haters looking so bent. They see me flexing my strength.
Don't be expecting no grace. Exactly. IUIC preaches a religion sans grace. No grace in it. It's good to see that firsthand. So Ice Cube's tweets are giving us a chance to do that. All right, let's switch over here back to this other mode. Where'd it go? All right, gotta look at some of these other ones here. Oh man, oh man, oh man. See what we got to deal with. All right, let's bring this next one up here. Wow. So your time is running out is literally like he's basically passing on the same message that's found in the song. Fascinating. So here he just puts "they lie" and it says before and after. Okay. Where's this painting? Where's your evidence that? Because guess what? This isn't the same painting. I think everyone, if you look at this, the implication might almost be like, hey, this is the same painting doctored or touched up, right? And by the way, I just want everyone to know, let's just stop and think about this for a second. If this was hypothetically the actual same painting, how did they get a picture of it before it was doctored up? That means it would have had to have happened within the age of photography. And in fact, the age of color photography. So that means it would have been in a clear view of everybody, right? Oh, look, they literally changed it. So this is not the same painting. I'd be curious to know where they're from, which one's even older. I guess they're trying to say this is how Jesus really was, but then once the Europeans got a hold of him, looked like this. But art history is not this. This is what's difficult in dealing with Hebrew Israelites, is they promote claims outside of areas that they have knowledge of, but they'll promote it with this simplistic version or understanding, which is a misunderstanding, and they expect you to take it on their word just because they posted it and tweeted it. They've parodied it from somewhere else, like Ice Cube is doing here. And then if you don't agree, you have some ulterior motive or you've internalized depression, right? Much like a CRT theorist, something like that. And you got this going on, but it's not true. They didn't lie. The person who made the meme lied. Now, no one is saying Jesus is white. I got videos on it. I've talked about it. We're talking about being truthful in the memes. This ain't even right. So notice I got to start getting into art history and looking at other things just to deal with this. You see, that's the challenge here. Dealing with this, right? Let me see here. Let's Let's look at let's read some more art history. All right, let's do some more here. Again, face to face, Portraits of the Divine in Early Christianity, Robin Jensen. Here, let's read some more. A statuette, now assumed to be a portrait of Christ seated and holding a scroll, was discovered in Asia Minor and is now housed in Rome's Museo Nazionale. The work generally has been dated to the late 4th century, although both its date and its identification as an image of Christ have been questioned. The beardless, youthful, and almost feminine appearance of the figure has recently been discussed in some detail and certainly offers contrast with the images from Commedia and Ostia in particular. The figure in this case bears more resemblance to the figure of Christ on mid-4th century sarcophagi, including the tomb of Junius Bassus, now in the Vatican. Although the original context of the statue is unknown, it appears to have been designed to be an independent work of art, not a part of a group or larger composition. And there's the statue in question. That's what they're talking about there. Concurrent with the development of visual art for the church, along with explanations of its potential value, was a fading concern about idolatry in the late 3rd and early 4th centuries. I touched on this earlier. This may have been because the surrounding culture was gradually becoming Christian and thus less threatening, or because the traditional gods were steadily disappearing from the scene, or perhaps even more significant, because the focus of theological condemnation moved from the dangers of idolatry to the controversies about the person and nature of the Savior. The demons that entrapped people into worshiping the vain and empty creations of human hands now had another way to drag the unwary into perdition, through false teachings rather than through the worship of false gods or the veneration of idols. Pagan gods were no longer the competition and threat that they were in the first centuries, and the secular world was something to be accommodated rather than avoided. Until the beginning of the 8th century and the outbreak of iconoclasm, portraits of the saints, Mary, and even Christ were hardly a matter of concern. Instead, images of saints as well as scenes taken from the Bible became more and more popular for church decoration. Intended to inspire awe as well as to teach, the artwork in church was as much a mode of theology as the writing of treatises or delivering of homilies, and it was an effective means of nurturing devotion or pious emotion as any of the rhetorical arts. However, even though the material evidence certainly demonstrates that portraits of the saints, Mary, or Christ had arrived, at least one provincial but famous bishop at the turn of the 5th century was worried about how the existence and popularity of such images still might lead his congregation astray. Noting that some of the better educated pagans in his city had turned the tables and actually were chiding Christians for being, quote, adorers of columns and sometimes even of pictures, end quote, Augustine grants that such things are taking place. Quote, would to God that we didn't have them. So Augustine, despite what Catholics say, was hoping all these images weren't going to be all present in the church, but they were. And notes that the practice is defended by what will become the standard Christian argument. So Augustine, is repeating, by the way, he's an African Christian, what a lot of the Christians of his day were saying, although he didn't agree, it appears, because he said, would to God we didn't have them. We, they say, don't adore images, but what is signified by the image. That's veneration of Mary type thing. That's what Catholics use today. Augustine objects to such an argument by pointing out that it would be wiser to pray directly to the saint. So there's a place where he did agree with what would later become dogma, which is false, by the way, rather than to the image of that saint, an argument that might seem eminently sensible if posed to a congregation that was unattached to such visual and material aids to prayer. Good point. Whether his congregation was persuaded or not, we have no surviving icons from Hippo, again, that's in Africa, is ultimately less interesting, however, than the fact that, according to Augustine, Christians are being accused of the very acts their authorities had formerly ridiculed in others. So, fascinating stuff. I hope that people understand what is really being said here and what we're looking at when we look at the real history. I just had to get a break from the memes by looking at the actual art history. And you notice it's, a much more detailed subject than you got going on here. All right, so let's bring up another one here. Again, Ice Cube. Ice Cube. Yes, Ice Cube. Just think about Ice Cube. Are we there yet? If the Police, America's Most, put you back into it. That same guy is now retweeting Hebrew Israelite memes, including black Madonnas with black child. Now, let me make this one a little bigger here on my end. Few things to ask yourself. Is this intended to be a lifelike representation? It seems very obvious to me that this is not intended to actually display true lifelike features. It's all symbolic here, meaning it's trying to show something about the subject by the way it's being portrayed. Yet Ice Cube is retweeting this. I don't understand if do you guys understand how fascinating and how wild And just what a strange day we live in that Ice Cube is retweeting Hebrew Israelite memes and images. This is Roman Catholic and Orthodox stuff. He's retweeting it clearly as some kind of proof. Now notice he doesn't actually put anything on this one, but he does this a lot, including one of Pope John Paul II kissing Black Madonna and child. Now notice how the kid is like as big as the mom. It's all odd. This whole thing is odd. Look, I know I have Catholic viewers and I love you guys. You got to understand, looking at this, how the images that you guys still utilize to this day is very troubling. In my research for this show, I looked at some pictures from some videos from the Philippines where all these Filipinos are trying to jump on top of this Jesus statue as it travels through town, and it's crazy. I'm Sicilian, not full-blooded. I didn't get to be FBI, full-blooded Italian. But that's the main identity I claim, right? That's how I look, why I look how I look, that kind of thing. I know my Italian family. They're mainly from Buffalo, and that's why I wear a Buffalo Bills jacket. Sometimes not because I care about the team, but because that's where they're from. This kind of thing is extremely troubling. Being Sicilian, you see a lot of the images of these festivals where they bring out the statue and everyone's like, oh, but I'd never seen anything like what I saw in the Philippines. It was a whole other level of frantic, But this is what we've got. And Ice Cube puts, y'all in trouble. Who's in trouble? Maybe the Catholics are in trouble for their being exposed for having their popes kiss baby statues. This is the one I really want to show. Okay, is everyone looking closely at this one? So here's another one. Ice Cube again retweeted. This is all within like the past week or so. This one is particularly odd if you have an eye for detail. Anyone here have an eye for detail? Notice I got the black right there, so he retweets it. Got the black right there, so he retweets it. Go down a little bit. Oh. White angels. Am I the only one seeing this? Can you guys all see this? Is everyone seeing this? So right below the little baby. So these, by the way, are called Black Madonna. They're called Black Madonnas. And I'm going to talk about those in a second. I'm going to talk about Black Madonnas. It's just weird Ice Cube's retweeting Black Madonnas. So look here. By the way, Madonna, the singer, by the way, she's Italian too. Not sure if I want to claim her. So is Lady Gaga. A lot of those gals are, apparently. If you notice here, right below the little baby Jesus, Black Madonna with child figurine, see it on the side of his cheeks, like right here? What does he have on his shoulders? 2 white angels. Did you guys didn't notice that? The Hebrews say they didn't catch that one. Did the artists get that part wrong? So if we're gonna go there, then apparently, Mary was black. Okay. Jesus is black, but I mean, black like that, you know what I'm saying? Which it's rare to find someone who looks like that in real life, right? With 2 little white angels. So I guess the angels are white because, this statue has it. Somebody said those are slaves, not angels. David. That's funny. That's pretty funny, actually. But are you guys seeing this? This is what we're dealing with. And Ice Cube is retweeting it. 248 retweets, 1,200 likes. And that's one of the lower ones. His tweets are in the news right now. Do you understand that? And this is the kind of stuff he's retweeting. Now, I think it's time to talk about Black Madonnas. I think it's time. I have some notes here that I brought up. A large part of these, okay, I'm gonna tell you, are provided to me by my friend Abu Kammer. He's done some research in this, and actually, he has some family members who have as well. So I'm gonna read to you guys. I'm kind of gonna go through these my notes on this. So this is the research, before the show that we can talk a little bit about this. Okay. Let's talk about Black Madonnas. You know what? Let me switch over to my other screen here real quick. We're going to go back to this. Don't worry. Yeah, I see your point, Dinu. Good point. Exactly. If that's the way we're going to roll. Let me put one Black Madonna on the screen just so I talk about it. Have a little visual image there. Let's see, where's a good one to have? Sorry, man, I'm just messing around. Okay. Let's take a look at this right here. All right. Sorry, no, you can't see Justice. Don't worry, you get to see him later. Darker iconography. Okay. It is a part of Catholic art history. That's a fact. And guess what? Roman Catholics know it. So do Protestants, at least the ones who are the iconoclasts, especially. All right. It's not a surprise. It's not a big secret like the Hebrewites like to try to act sometimes. They act as if they're uncovering hidden secrets. No. There's whole books on the cult of the Black Virgin, academic books and also books by feminist authors, as well as those who are more mystical. I've been looking into this. There's numerous perspectives they approach it from. This is not a conspiracy theory to the Hebrewites. You uncover this. Okay? Now, we don't know, unless they specifically say, the intention of any particular image maker. We just don't know. Now, there's Catholic legends that a lot of these Black Madonnas were actually made by Luke. Yeah, Dr. Luke, the one who wrote Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, author of the third gospel, as it's called. That he made a bunch of them, and then in some instances, Peter later transported them. I don't buy into these Catholic legends. There's no historical reason to. But they try to say, the Catholics, that Luke actually made some of them. But in reality, we don't know most of these people, especially when it comes to icons. Icons, especially in the Eastern tradition, are not supposed to be signed because they're not considered paintings. The icons in the Eastern tradition, now I know we're talking about icon statues, there's different things here, right? In the Eastern tradition are actually considered to be written. And they're supposed to be exegeted. You can actually find instances where there will be Catholics or Orthodox guys who will bring up a painting beside them, an icon, and actually preach from it as if it's a text. I've seen this. It's online. That's the way they view this. So we have to realize there's a deeper thing about how to read these going on for the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox traditions, okay? I don't agree with it, but that's a fact, okay? We don't know a lot of times, most of the time, hardly ever, who made these, when they were made for sure, so it ends up with speculation. So with that, what can we say? Number one, some were deliberately painted dark. That is true. Now, there's a variety of reasons. Let's give possible reasons. One possibility, of course, is the most obvious, that the artist guessed that the given subject looked that way. Meaning the artist thought the person they were portraying was dark like that. So the artist would assume the subject, Black Madonna or Christ in this case, were dark-skinned. There is a long and widespread history of Black Madonnas and Black Christ depictions. Boo has a family member, like I said earlier, who's actually done research on the medieval Spanish opinions on this subject. It's kind of fascinating. There were some clergy during that day who thought the darker depictions were more authentic. And some of them even transmitted these legends about some of these images being miraculously protected from touch-ups. I kid you not. And during that medieval period, there are some people in Spain who had thought that the certain darker depictions of Mary were more authentic, basically. Some thought that these darker depictions would be miraculously protected by God or could protect you. And there's an example, I guess, that you can find if you look through the literature that I'm aware of. That a soldier would run into battle versus Muslims holding a Black Madonna image instead of a sword, and then attribute victory to the image being on the battlefield, and then that would be cited as evidence for the authenticity of the image. This is the medieval era we're talking about. What's another reason they might be darker? Sometimes they were originally made black in this way because in the Middle Ages, there were theologians who supported a allegorical or mystical understanding of song, as in Song of Songs or Song of Solomon. I'm not trying to say psalm. It's hard to get out of my mouth. Songs 1:5, they would say that it mystically refers actually to Mary. And so, for example, talking about Sicily again, there's a Sicilian Black Madonna in Tindari. It literally quotes Songs 1:5 on its base. You can see it. Nigra sum et famosa. Nigra sum et famosa. There's a medieval Iberian practice, that's Spanish and Portuguese, of interpreting Songs 1:5, applying it to the Black Madonna. And so you can find it in Italy and Spain. And I just mentioned one at the shrine there, the Black Madonna in Sicily. And look, if you want to find this stuff, you can run a Google image search on the phrase Madonna Nera, N-E-R-A, space D-I, space T-I-N-D-A-R-I, Tindari. The English equivalent is the Black Madonna of Tindari, or a variation. And you'll get lots of pictures of that famous statue. And you'll see on the base of the statue in Latin, Nigra sum sed formosa. Oh, I mispronounced one of the words earlier, but you get the same idea. That's basically the ancient Latin Vulgate translation of "I am black but beautiful." And so some of the clergy, as I mentioned, especially the Spanish and Portuguese one, thought that these were more authentic, and they would apply Song of Solomon 1:5 to it. It's a very highly allegorical interpretation of the text, obviously, and basically makes this wife of Solomon a cryptic prophecy about the Black Madonna, which would be inaccessible to the average reader, but they saw this black and beautiful reference as literal, basically. And so it actually says black but beautiful if you read the text, but some of them made it different in the way they actually worded it, which is black and beautiful. Now, I discussed the most obvious way. These are just the facts that we know from speculation, what we can try to gather. And the next one is true. My guess is the second I mention this will become the whole topic that all Hebrews like to talk about. But the fact is it's true. Okay? It's just a fact. The other reason potentially why some of these are darker, I said some, this is more relates to the icons, is through the process of oxidation. Accumulation of soot, those two things. It is true that some of the older icons really did darken over long periods of time of sharing a space with candles and incense, because guess what? Smells and bells. The Catholics, and especially the Orthodox, I got all this other stuff going on, and it affects the surface. Now, the candles and incense can have different effects on different colors. And actually, there's a video online that you can watch. I might try to post it later. And when these accretions get removed, it has a more dramatic darkening effect. Sometimes they can tell once it's removed on like a pinkish beige color, which is employed for the depiction of skin. But then it doesn't affect other things the same way. Now, some people are going to say, oh, that doesn't sound right. But it's just the facts. And notice, I gave the other reasons first, okay? And I'm not, this doesn't count for everything. It's just reality, okay? I'm not the first person to have talked about this, okay? We're just talking about this, all right? So here's what we do now. I have a friend who talks about when he moved into this little apartment that he burned a lot of candles and incense over a 5-year period. And it dramatically altered the light beige walls in the house, but had no effect on darker items in the house, like his cupboards. So it only affected something. You know what I'm saying? And also, we have to understand, when we see one thing that's affected one way and one thing that's affected another way, we have to ask ourselves all kinds of questions. Have these items been moved over the decades? Was one higher or lower than the other? Because a lot of times the higher portions, for example, would get more darkened. If they were under the same conditions, then the differences in the painting themselves could account for some things. One depiction is darker than the other, even before accretions begin, and that's very possible. You have a dark skin, a light skin, and these both have long histories in the history of Christian art, and these are just realities. Now, I gave you some information on the Black Madonna. You have to buy some books. I'll try to remember to drop a link here for a book that's free. It's a 16th century Spanish work by Padre Pedro de Burgos. He's a Catholic abbot from Spain, and he talks about Black Madonna there in Catalonia. And you can look there, and there's some key images there, specifically pages 34 to 35. If you look, you'll see what I'm talking about. So that's just in relation to the Black Madonna. So again, the point is that there's a long history to this. Now, I actually debated a Hebrew Israelite one time named Black Jesus Minister. That's the name of this guy. And we did this debate, I think on Debate Talk for You, if I'm not mistaken. And during this debate, he brought up Black Madonnas, and I had some answers back. It was interesting back and forth. My point is, to the patrons, to the supporters of the channel, today, I am going to go ahead and make that debate available to you. It's a little bit longer. I think it's like an hour and a half, or maybe 2 hours. And it's audio only, but it's a very informative and interesting debate to hear a debate about this. And then maybe at a later time we'll make it available to everybody else. But right now, I'll just make it available to supporters later on if you go to the patreon.com/vocab. So shout out to you guys on that. And then you guys will be able to have access to hear that debate. And his point was Jesus is black, and my point was Jesus was not black or white, but from all available evidence in between. But ultimately, we can't say we know exactly the way he looked, and you get to hear a discussion based upon the biblical sources in this debate that we had between myself and Black Jesus Minister. Okay, now let's look at some of the other stuff that Ice Cube tweeted as well. And we're going a little bit slower than I was hoping here, but we don't have a ton more images to show. But the ones we do, I think, are important, so don't go anywhere, okay? So here's one as well, all right? This is supposed to be Peter and Paul. And notice, the actual image still has sort of whoever made it, this meme thing attached to it. Hebrew Israelite, our story. It's funny, the first person who replied to him there that you can see on top, you a Christian? He's just trying to make the point that, hey, these dudes were definitely black, from whatever meme he got here. Again, we don't know who made this. We don't know when. We don't know if the image has been altered. None of that's there. It's just, hey, here's this meme. Trust me, they look like this. And actually, you got to ask yourself, look at the guy that's supposed to be Peter. Look at his nose. Look at his hair. I don't think that guy really proves the point of what Cube's trying to say. I mean, does it? Am I the only one? It's almost like part of the work that's being done here with these images is what you call the power of suggestion. It's very interesting, a psychological phenomenon, the power of suggestion. You're thinking this, you're feeling this, and then people do. It's actually sort of a way to mentally manipulate people, kind of like Jedi mind tricks. The Force can have a strong effect on the weak-minded. Here's another one he posted, the big payback, stay tuned. That Jesus has got some abs, man. Then some serious bicep and tricep action. That's no joke. I'm down with Jesus looking like that. You know what I'm saying? Being able to take care of business, okay. Where is this? What's it from? Don't know. Now remember, his hair on top of his head doesn't quite look like it fits with what they're trying to say. Maybe I'm missing something there with the sandy blonde moppy thing going on. I don't know what's up with that. But with all that being said, Cube is retweeting this stuff. The big payback, Jesus is going to pay everybody back, or white America back? What is he saying? I'd like to know. He's probably saying something similar at this point, appears to what the Hebrew Israelites are saying. But more and more celebrities, I think, are going to catch on to some of this stuff. And that's why it's important for you to understand some basis of Hebrew Israelism. And also to see, I'm just sharing some more here. This is kind of a different, more Afrocentric stuff. Just sort of the nature of some of this stuff. And how problematic it is and how unsourced it is as well, Just a couple more here. All right, here's one. You got the cube I mentioned earlier. Of course, Ice Cube's got to share a picture of a cube, right? Ba-choom. All right. Then we also got this one over here. What is this? I forgot what I was trying to show here. That's just a Hebrew Israelite hitting back at him. I'm actually, that guy, it's an IUIC guy out of Austin. I'm actually going to go to his page later. I want to show you something there. Don't let me forget. Ari Mahaz bin Israel. But it's interesting, all the sort of IUIC hangers on now trying to get Ice Cube's attention. But what's so wild is that he actually apparently is listening to some of them. Very, very interesting times we live in, isn't it? I mean, come on. Oh yeah, there we go. There's another one. It's funny. A lot of times the Hebrew Israelites share this image, and they say, "Look, the Jews even know." They think these Greek Orthodox guys are Jews. I'm not saying Cube does. He didn't give any commentary. But I've seen this meme or picture, and it'll say the Jews aren't going to be walking around with icons and images. And it's just so funny. Like, it just shows a level of like lack of awareness and ignorance. These dudes talking about the Jews when these are Greek Orthodox folks, Jews with images. I mean, come on, man. Jews, Greek Orthodox, tomato, right? All right. What's this one I got here? Let's see. Oh yeah, it's just Cube telling everybody that this is really him, that his account has not been hacked. There's that one. I got two more after this one. Okay, let me show you. Okay. Oh yeah, I bring that up. You may say you already showed that one, Vocab. What's bizarre about that is he shared it twice, I think on June 8th and June 10th. So that was kind of fascinating. Now, this is one of the most surprising. Well, no, I'll show this other one last. I'll show it last. I got one more after this. This is probably obviously the most Hebrew Israelite of them all. And we're already an hour and a half, so we're not going to be getting too deep into the last two here. But this was mentioned in the articles as well. But clearly, this is Hebrew Israelite all the way. If there's any doubt before, I mean, literally, that's what's going on. Hebrew Israelites, slaves in ancient Egypt, clearly they are a black people. So there you go. I mean, what do you say? Now watch this. Watch this. The most powerful weapon in the world is the Word of God. Ice Cube shared that? 1611 KJV, peace mode. Same dude, rocking AK-47 on the couch. Same dude, if you're scared, mother effer, go to church. Same dude, was it Lethal Injection, or was it the one after that, where he's making fun of the Christian, waiting on Jesus to come back? What? I don't know. If he really is embracing the Bible as the Word of God, then maybe something could happen. This could be something good. And so I close with that one to say this. Keep the people who follow Ice Cube in prayer. Keep Ice Cube in prayer. O'Shea Jackson. He has ties here in Phoenix, by the way. Keep IUIC. Keep them in prayer. Keep the guys we were dealing with last night, Sakari. Keep them in prayer. They need the Lord, obviously. We're not sitting here judging. Lord knows Christians aren't perfect. We have our struggles, our embarrassments, our shame, our sin. But we know it's covered in the blood of Jesus, don't we? And the Bible is what tells us. Isaiah 53, 1 Corinthians 15, you put it together. Beautiful, beautiful, the gospel message, which is forgiveness, repentance for all kinds of people. Gospel. So who knows where this will go? This just shows the unpredictability of society, of celebrities, of people. We don't know. So our job is to be faithful in this culture. We're not better than anybody. Someone's like, Vocab, you're the most proud. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to talk, But at the end of the day, we're going to have the discussion about this. So let's keep that in prayer. And let me see if there's anything else I'm supposed to share with you guys. I just want to go through my stuff one more time. Oh, there's a video I want to play you. I'm sorry, that's the last thing I got to do. I got to show you this video because he actually describes a little bit about Black Madonna and icons and stuff. And I want to show you how a lot of people who share these images don't even understand the Catholic meaning and symbolism behind it. I want to play that before we do our freestyle. I forgot about that. Where did that video go? You do need to see this. Don't go anywhere, okay? Don't go anywhere. I got to play this for you, okay?
It's Christmas time in Bratislava, the capital city of Slovakia. Here in the Old Town, Christmas also means the famous Christmas markets. And overlooking these festivities are two important symbols of the dominant religion in Slovakia, statues of the Virgin Mary. Not only that, there's also another Madonna hidden just around the corner in Bratislava's Franciscan church that not many tourists know about. Let's go and have a look. I'm meeting with Brother Juraj Mahili here in the Franciscan chapel, and behind us is a black Madonna. Now, what is special about this particular Madonna?
What is special? The statue of Black Madonna is the part of the Loretos chapel. This black color has some meaning. This meaning is not really clear, or there are few explanations.
Hear that? Just what I was saying earlier. Even the Roman Catholics aren't 100% sure. And by the way, notice the Christ child, he has red lips. You know what I mean? If we're going to make this about what they're trying to make it, the red lips are a bit odd, are they not? So is the hair. By the way, to the flat earthers, notice what Christ is holding there. This shows Roman Catholics knew the globe was a sphere, even back then. That cross on top of the globe was constant symbolism in Black Madonnas and Christ childs of Christ's rulership of the globe. That's exactly what it was. And notice it's a spherical shape. Just I'd throw that out there for you guys. Continuing on here.
This black color, you can find Black Madonna in many Mary's chapel all over the Europe. This tradition became some when in Middle Ages. And also in the first Loreto chapel.
Oh, hold up. I didn't mean to hit it. I hit it too far. Hold on, too quick.
It's Christmas time in Bratislava, the capital.
We think Mary was knowing from very beginning that her child, her son, will be suffering, and this color is expression of.
Sean Antonio too says no one cares about this idolatry. Bring out the book vocab. Hey, Sean Antonio, if no one cares about this idolatry, why do all your religious compatriots love to share pictures of the Black Madonnas and say things like, "See, they know"? If no one cares, why is Ice Cube retweeting it out? You guys, seriously. One at a time, my friend.
Her soul. So this is two explanations, but there is also another explanation that is saying that this wood, it's ebony, is very good and very strong wood, that the material is very precious, that is fitting to be used for the statue of Our Lady. It is really linked with the Loretos chapel. We can't divide it.
By the way, if we're going to use images of Black Madonna with baby black Jesus to prove the way they looked, what do we do about the other images in the same building? You don't prove the way Jesus looked through art, especially centuries later. Just look at what we're looking at here. And we're almost done. They're going to flip into the freestyle and end it.
This chapel and the statue, because
Jay Miles, hey, yeah, they could have used any material. Don't play that card. There's also a thing called paint. Gosh, just such ignorance on display. Hey, look at your screen, Jay Miles. Look at your screen. What do you want to say about that? If you're gonna go that route, you got to go that route. Otherwise, don't go that route. Man.
The chapel of Loreto is the house of our.
See, same building. No one should think Jesus looked that way, just like they shouldn't think that the Black Madonna statues prove the way he looked either. Yes, ignorance. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know about art history, and you don't know what you're saying. You were literally just reacting based upon your own religious presuppositions that you've got by studying memes.
Lady of Virgin Mary.
I'd say there are new paintings by the White Russians. You don't even know. You're literally just... Look at this guy. Bro, who trained you to talk this way? Who trained you? It's bad. Pick up a book on art history about this topic, for real. Stop being a parrot. Stop being a meme scholar. Stop it. You don't know. This is not even in Russia anyway.
Nazareth, and according to the folk tradition, this house was transferred by the angels to Loreto in Italy in 1291. That is the first...
Slovakia, bordered by Poland to the north, Ukraine to the east, Hungary to the south, Austria to the southwest, and Czech Republic to the northwest. Just saying.
Mention about this chapel. And from that time, or at least from 15th century, these Loreto chapels were built all over the Europe, and mainly at the Franciscans or conventuals or Capuchins churches.
Oh, J. Miles, you don't have the understanding because you don't keep the commandments that the scripture says. Hey, J. Miles, do you have to keep the commandments to understand art history? This is literally what I was telling you about. You guys remember that time I told you that these guys actually teach if you eat pork, you can't interpret the Bible properly? That's literally what he's saying. Oh, man. All right, let's transition to freestyle. Hey, if he gets too bad trolling mods, you can go ahead and do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's end. We got this dope beat by Soko. My main man, it's been a very excellent show, so I'm definitely feeling it. Thought it went well. Yep, get a little clap there. Maybe a little clap there. And now it's flipping this beat. And we are going live tomorrow about the same time, so same bad time, same bad channel. Study art history. That wood was ebony. Vocab gotta rock the beat. By Soko sent to me. It was free. I checked my email. Peep this out. I see the statue with the nail. I inhale, exhale like Chino. Yes, indeed, Dino was a purple dog from the Flintstones. Vocab alone, picking up stones to cast at the giant. Yes, indeed, I'm reliant on God, defiant against a system that tries so hard to lynch the Christian, but to miss him. Vocab alone, Hebrew Israelites, I piss them off. They think we're soft. Ha 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 ha. We sick, we cough. Yeah, and it's not our fault. Come on, be mature, gotta be an adult. Oh. You don't like the freestyle? Go sit down, think for a while. Yes, indeed, go ahead, stand up. I hand you a knife, cause you just got cut in the butt. Like vanilla ice in the living color sacrifice. You got that skit, it was kinda nice. Now, legit with the beans and rice I be eating up on a Saturday. Peep this out now, praise Yahweh. See the statue of Jesus coming after you because he frees us, sees us, indeed used to be us in a sense. Our recompense was on that hill, it didn't make no sense. But Jesus the Christ, he was heaven sent, the incarnation, the divine. Now I shine from the top of the mine, line after line, 999. How we do when we feeling fine? Yeah, the price ain't cheap. Moving down the street, honk honk like beep on the Jeep, or maybe in a truck. Believe in what? Don't believe in luck, cause a Calvinist, so you know what's up. Now I rally this, go ahead, stand up, put your fist up, but offer forgiveness. Jesus the Christ, we be a witness. Yo, check it, spiritual fitness, gotta get this with the ill type quickness. Gotta hit this like Babe Ruth, or maybe King Griffey, knock out the tooth of the devil. Yeah, the roaring lion, Jesus the Christ, I'm here to Zion. Coming back in the clouds, he be flying. In the meantime, I'm crying and I'm sighing, dying. The people around me surround me with the iniquity, infinity like Buzz Lightyear. Fill off the beat that is in my ear. Stand up, my dear, 1, 2, and here we go, go ahead and cheer. Yeah, now we got no fear. Peace out, Pellegrino in here. Ooh-wee. Be sure to come back tomorrow where we make apologetics fun again. Street Apologists, the show where we serve the underserved and look into the overlooked. It's been good. Got a lot of premieres next week. Don't miss them. Peace. That was the wrong button.
You're now listening to Street Apologists. Street Apologists. Street Apologists. Street Apologists. Street Apologists. Street Apologists. Street Apologists.